Better now? Yes, very good. Okay. Very welcome. I haven't met the two of you before, so I just wanted to know your experience when it comes to meditation, and an experience of non-dual meditation. Yes. No, not you. No, and you? No. But you have meditated some mindfulness or some vipassana. Very good. Very good. Okay. We start with a guided meditation. So you just find a comfortable position, close your eyes. Just connect with your breath. And just allow the body to settle and the mind to settle. Just recognize the experience of this moment. Whatever is happening in the body, or perhaps there are thoughts coming, or bodily sensations. The body might feel comfortable, uncomfortable. Whatever comes, it doesn't matter. You're just completely aware of the expression that it has. Just allow it to happen. There's no need to try to remove anything, try to make your mind quiet, nothing like that. You just recognize this moment. That's it. No need to fix anything, you just stay right here. Don't push away any thoughts. If thoughts come, you just allow thinking to happen. And if you just recognize your experience and don't touch anything, you don't have to do or fix anything with anything. When you no longer control your thoughts, when you no longer try to fix your mind, you notice that the mind and thoughts settle. If you resist your mind in any way, you can just invite it, allow it to come, allow the thoughts to come. You are here, you are present. So whatever movement they have, whatever the content of the thoughts are, you just observe. You're just completely alert and with the content of it. If the content is mainly emotional, you stay with the body. The mind might want you to go into thoughts, to flee from this moment because something is uncomfortable or overwhelming or too much or whatever it might be. But in this moment, you just stay. You recognize it, invite it completely, allow it. The old patterns will be there. They will try to suck you into being a doer, fixing things, controlling, categorizing, all these things. But you just stay. Come back to the recognition of this moment. To the first expression of I. For the duration of this meditation, you're free from doership. You're just observing. Actually, if we're going to be honest about it, there's just alertness happening. Just see if you can stay here. This space where experience can move freely. Where you no longer mold it into something. Just allow it. See what it is. See what is the expression of this moment. And if it feels very spacious, very quiet, mind will try to grab things. It will try to go into doing. Just recognize this effort of the mind, this happening, and you just stay. If you get lost in thoughts, drawn into them, you come back to recognizing them. Every time you do, you break the habit of the mind. You break the automatic tendencies. Coming back to again recognizing the present. Recognizing the movement of consciousness. The mind is just habits and repetitions. Happening again and again. Different flavors of the same thing. Coming back and coming back. There's no need to entertain the mind on this level. The spaciousness created in the mind through observing its movements creates so much freedom. the sense of spaciousness in you. Make you limitless, expansive, free. Gently open your eyes, move your body. Stretch out your arms and legs if you need to. Early on, when I heard about meditation, I was very confused by, I remember a statement that confused me a lot. It said that there's no difference between the meditation and the meditator. For the way I approached meditation was as if meditation was a tool. Something that I did to feel good, to feel calm, silence my mind a little bit, feel less stressed, less anxious. So the part of that there is no difference between the meditator and the meditation made no sense to me at all. But the more I practiced, the more I noticed that meditation is not something that you do. Maybe your meditation practice is something that you do, but the meditation itself, when it spontaneously comes, you notice that it just spontaneously comes. The silence of the present moment comes in. And you might have all kinds of theories why the meditation worked so well in a particular instance. And when you try to replicate it, it always fails. Almost always. Because it has nothing to do with your effort. It has to do with just inviting the present moment as it is. And that happens when you, for a while, abandon the doer. You abandon the meditator, the one who is trying to meditate. And you come to this moment. And the quality of this moment is the same quality that is the deepest aspect of you. It's just being. Prior to all your effort, there is something. You can call it the self. You can call it awareness. Whatever you like. But it's naturally in us, always. And it always shows itself when we abandon effort. And when it comes to non-duality, this is one of the most misunderstood things. Because some take it as, okay, there is nothing I can do to come to meditation, so therefore I should not practice. That could be the conclusion, right? If meditation just comes spontaneously, who knows why? Then there is no meaning in practicing. But that is not true. Because the effort in your sadhana, in your practice itself, shows you how you're stuck. This is the purpose, the main purpose of sadhana, to show you how you're stuck. Because when you try, you will try in the ways that you believe in. This is actually a great thing. Because in that you expose yourself. You expose your inner core in what you think will bring about meditation, or even more to the point, what will bring you happiness, how you will feel free. And if you think that that comes through effort, like working really hard, you will work really hard until you notice something else. If you think it comes with opening your heart in devotion, in singing and dancing, you will do that until you exhaust it. And in that, you will also always encounter the one who is trying, the meditator, the one who wants to go from point A to point B, from bondage to freedom, from searching to arriving. And the more you examine these things, the more you do your sadhana and your practice, the more you go for the things that you believe in, that you believe will work, the more you will see that there is no difference between the meditator and the meditation. You will start to notice that the one that you believe yourself to be will come and go. In certain moments there is nothing, there is no center to this experience, it's just happening. That is part of what meditation is, the expression of it. And in that space there is no difference between the one practicing and the practice. And the main sadhana is to come back to recognizing what is here. You understand the word sadhana? Do you know what that means? That is the meditation practice. If I'm ever, sometimes these words are common to me, so I just use them. I just realize now that perhaps you want. Sadhana means your meditation practice. And sadhana can be a lot of things. It can be, you can do through karma yoga, you can help out at the yoga studio or in a sangha, in a community of meditators in some way. That could be a part of the sadhana. And usually when you refer to it as the practice of sitting with closed eyes. That's common sadhana. But it can also be singing mantras and these kind of things. Mm. And in my tradition, the sadhanas, the practices that we do are not strict in the way that you have to do a certain practice, but my teacher always encouraged people to sit quite a lot, but also to sing bhajans and do mantras and these things, just to also challenge the mind that just wants to jump around and flee every moment. But the most profound sadhana is just a question of who am I? And it's not the intellectual version of that. It's just the recognition of what is it that I refer to as I. And if you look for the source of that referral, this is what is called self-inquiry in Vedanta. If you look for the source of that referral, you always come back to awareness itself. There is always just emptiness, because that is the source of the experience. And when I'm talking to you here, if you're not used to listening to me, you might think that it's mainly a verbal thing, that we communicate with words. And I tell you different things and you can write them down and contemplate on them or something. But that's actually not the most important part. Because if you can recognize the stillness, then you can just tap into it. It requires more openness and listening than what we're usually used to. Because we're always used to listening with the idea of taking a stance. Do I like what he's saying now, or don't I like it, or where's this heading, or whatever. Or what should I answer? And some people have this, even if they sit like this in this kind of context and listening, they have all the time a voice in their head, how they would respond to what I'm saying. It's a response and it's a response, and they sit with that. So many of those things make us not really relax into listening. And when I first started to go to my teachers, I listened to the words very carefully and I wanted to be attentive, but quite quickly I understood that what I'm listening to is the silence behind. Where are they pointing? Because all we talk about here, jokingly, for you who have been with me for a long time, we jokingly say, I am always talking about the same thing. And you might say, and I happily come and listen to it again and again and again. But it's because it's not so much the words, it is the recognition in you. So if you can come back to that, and then certain things, sometimes there will be a word that for you in particular will stand out and be, oh, he's talking specifically to me now, it feels like. But it's just that there is some word that has the energy for you to come deeper into yourself. So this is what satsang is. This is what this kind of gathering is. And with my teacher, I was very happy to go to him. And when I first came to him, he only spoke Hindi. And sometimes there were no translator. So I was listening to satsang in Hindi, which I didn't speak, and just sat there. But it still gave me so much. I could just recognize the silence. So it was like he reminded me. And he knew that I didn't know, so he just looked at me and smiled or something. And I just enjoyed it. So it's not mainly a word thing. Because you might come 3 times and then you say, now he's talking about a similar thing that he talked about the first time. But that is not the importance. If you can find that openness in you, so you can reflect these words as a mirror, and you can see what it is, and you connect to that silence, that is the greatest gift you can give yourself. If you are connected to that, you are connected to the deep existential intuitive sense that comes with the silence that you are. And if you start to listen to that instead of the chattering mind, it will show you very clearly. It's so easy to understand the world through that. It's so difficult through the mind. The mind creates complexity. It creates rules, it creates ideas, beliefs, all this, and then you have to navigate all that. And as many people grow older, it becomes overwhelming. The mind is too much. So many people get burnt out because they just try to handle themselves. That's why they get depressed or overwhelmed and all these things. And this spaciousness is deep rest. The only rest that is similar to that is the rest of deep sleep. Because in deep sleep there is no person. There is no time. But you're not afraid when you wake up from deep sleep. If you have a couple of hours of deep sleep, you will just wake up and feel, oh, that was lovely. Not in this shattering dream sleep, just the deep sleep. I feel so rested. Because there is not the identity of the person in that. And this is the same in meditation. That is what you touch. Suddenly you sit in your sadhana or you sit here and you wonder how time could pass like that. It's just because the normal capacity of thinking and connecting with that thinking and identity is for a while. You're without it for a while. Most people don't know how to relax. They don't know anything about it. Even when they go and are going to sleep, they lie in their bed, doing thoughts, playing the game of thoughts. What have I forgot for tomorrow? What am I going to eat for lunch? Did I say the right thing at work? Oh no, I think I made a fool of myself. Just a game of that. You might be lying in your bed, but are you relaxing? What is it that makes the mind quiet? What makes the mind stop? Is being with the recognition that this moment is as it is. Ramana Maharshi said, be as you are. That means full acceptance of the present moment. Even if there are thoughts of worry, okay, let them come. If there is movement in the pain body and emotions are taking over and wants all kinds of things, allow them completely. Invite them into this space. But for that to be possible, you have to be established in that space. It's just the spaciousness that is in you that's observing. This is the first step of meditation, to observe your experience. Some days you will say, I cannot observe it, it feels like my thoughts are here. There's no space to observe. I'm just them. They just take me over. And the more you try to do it, the easier it becomes. In the beginning, very difficult. After a while, easier. Even on difficult days, you can feel a bit overwhelmed, but you can still observe. And the most important way to break that is to, time and time again, come back to recognizing what is in the present moment, that you can observe. You just come back to it, you take a break for work, studies, whatever you do, and you take a small, short notice of, I can notice that there's thinking, my emotional state, whatever it is. Just recognize, like the meditation that I guided in the beginning, just recognize what is coming in this moment. And that creates this space of observing. And that is the first step in meditation. And for many people, that will become their first doorway into relaxation. Because when you can observe and you don't feel identified with the content can be stressful or not nice, but you can just observe it. You can allow it completely. It's just another thing. And if you don't fight it, and if you don't try to grab it, it will come, stay for a while, and go. That is the nature of it. And the more you get established in this deep silence, this stillness behind the experience, you will feel some things you will still have a distance to, in a sense that you're trying to keep them away because you find them too emotionally challenging usually, or not nice in some way. Could be a trauma, can be fears of something, shame, not being enough, being too much, all these things. And the more you get established in this stillness, the more you can invite all those things. At a certain point, you will feel like you're looking at the same things, because that's how the mind works. You're looking at the same things again and again and again. And you will say, I've been on this doorstep now 100 times. Let's go through the door today. Let's invite that sense of shame, guilt, whatever it is, into this space now. And in that, you start to develop a love for everything. It comes naturally with this. It comes empathy with everything, because holding things like hate towards people or just the very strong dislike is just so sticky and so uncomfortable that you rather invite it. So all these things shift in it. And in that acceptance of it is this you come to a point where there's an overflowing sense of love. Because when you're not obsessed with the person and identified with all the worries and all the situations and all the ideas, there is a lot of space in you. And that space naturally gravitates towards the sense of love. You will see that aspect in everything. It's a beautiful thing. We are capable of so much love. But most of us are completely taken by the idea of the person. And you might be angry at the world or think that the world needs a great change, and that internal spaciousness is the greatest thing that you can give to the world. Because if you are that spaciousness, you will reflect that in others. They will see you and they will say things like, I want to feel like that. I want to feel that safety that you always seem to bring. I want to feel that love that comes from every action that you do. That will be automatic. And it's a capability of everyone. And then you realize that the thing that everyone is looking for is to be loved. And that love is not an external thing that you can find a little or a lot of. It is an internal thing. You are the source of that love. But many people come to a conundrum with this. It is when they start to recognize that, they start to feel, am I worthy of this love? I did nothing for it. Actually, I just gave up things. And I just recognize what is. And it just comes by itself. It is the natural flavor of being. And the identified self would say, am I worthy? That's at least what I struggled with. It's so easy to be in a trance of the external world and think that you have to fix your life, your situation, your ideas, to work more in alignment with the world and what people expect from you. So almost no one looks within. What if everything you're searching for is already here? What if there's no lack? What if you don't need to be fixed? You don't need another self-help person telling you how to fix your long-lasting traumas. What if the recognition of this silence within you is it? That is you. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to go to some monastery in Nepal. You don't have to go to an ashram in India. You don't have to go anywhere. Everything is here. The universe guides us. Everything points towards it. Every fear you have, everything that happens in your life is life saying, be as you are. When you're trying to become something else, when you're trying to contort yourself, when you're believing in things that are not real, you will suffer. That's the law of Dhamma, the law of the universe. So then you can read books of how to be in alignment with the universe, and then you try all that, and then you notice that everything it actually says is be as you are. Invite the experience. Allow the experience as it is in this moment. The book is really, really thin in that sense that it just perhaps contains one sentence, but it is very profound, because in all times there seem to have been people who try to tame their mind. People try in all kinds of ways. And if you go to spiritual places, there are so many ways. If you do this, your mind will become quiet. If you do that, you will be connected to the energies of this and that. Connect with the Shiv Shakti, connect with the Kundalini, connect with this and that. But if you know nothing of all of those things, and all you do is look into this moment, what it is, this is the greatest exploration you can do. You can try all the techniques. If I think that someone will benefit from a technique, I can give them a meditation technique. I have tried so many things. But the most profound one is to be as you are. And it can seem so simple and simplified, and that it just has to do with acceptance of this moment. But what is that? You can look at it in words and you can say, okay, acceptance of this moment. Okay, I can try it a little bit. But what is it really? What is it to allow? What is it that makes this moment just happen and to be accepted? It's just the absence of fiddling with it. And people love to fiddle. To fix, to categorize, to find different ways. Always so happy with the new strategy of the mind. Lasts for a while and then onto something new. Trying, fiddling. The spiritual people are great fiddlers. Almost no one tries to just leave their mind alone. Just allowing it to express. Just being with it as it is. Or they have a strategy in how to do that. Do you understand the difference of that? Then they fiddle again. Always in alignment with some belief or a new approach or I think I'm going to do it more like this now, or instead of just looking at what is it? What is here? What is the expression of it? What happens with the observation of what is? Forget about the gurus and everyone who knows and the great books of Vedanta. Look in this moment. All these external things come when they need to come. The teacher comes when they needs to come. The right page in that book comes. You just open a book and it says something super profound in the perfect moment. All those things will just happen. But you need to start to look at what is. We're so used to doing right. This is one of the biggest obstacles for many people in meditation, is that they want to do the meditation right. That's why I say, when you meditate, what is about to happen is that you will fail and fail and fail and fail. That is the purpose of your meditation. So if you have the idea of doing right, it will be impossible, because you will fail. You will do meditation wrong. You will go into the all the detours and the misbeliefs of things. You will think that you're done too early. You made some insight, some achievement, and then you build your house there. You write books about it, you tell the world about this first insight, and you never move on. The last time I saw my teacher, I thanked him so much, and I said, Swami, I'm so happy. I feel so much at peace. There's so much spaciousness. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There's nothing I want anymore. It's just so beautiful to see this. And he said, don't stop practicing. Don't build your home here. I know that you experience peace, but don't build your home here. Continue. And these things is great to hear from a teacher. In those moments, it is profound to have someone like that. But in your own sadhana, in your own practice, it is great to look what is in this moment. Otherwise, you will just do practice that you think is the right practice, a good practice, and it's not connected to what is. It's in a way a dishonest practice, because you just do it because it is the right practice to do and that you heard it's good. And a profound moment is when the practice starts to come from you. You start to see what you need. But that, for many people, takes some time into their practice. But suddenly you start to realize, I am longing for singing bhajans. I'm longing for this and this. And it comes from a place that is not, I would like this because it's cool. It just comes from love. And when you start to be able to distinguish those things, that can just move. And then the sadhana becomes much, much easier in that. Is there any questions today? Yes.
In the beginning beginning, you talked about meditation showing us where we're stuck.
You mean from the perspective of sadhana?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But it seems oftentimes difficult to see where you're stuck, since the person seeing you're stuck is the stuck person. So it seems like a
yes, correct.
difficult space to be in. So how can you get out of that bind?
People are great at giving other people advice, as you noticed. But to recognize what is going on through the eyes of the observer is difficult because of the coloring of that observer, having an agenda, having a belief, having a something. If the person in meditation is trying to be fair about things and very neutral, it will still be colored by the idea of, but I still believe that I have to go somewhere to do something to feel free, to get better, to something. And the recognition in meditation is not always also that clear. Sometimes you just observe and you stop reacting to things. And that just changes your behavior. But you don't notice it until there comes a situation where you used to react in one way and you're not triggered anymore. And you just recognize how different it is in that moment. So not even the leaving of things, because how do you recognize things leaving you? How do you recognize something that you abandon? Because you don't need it anymore, so you just leave it. So sometimes it will just take time before you realize that it's gone. Anyone heard me, that this brilliant woman who said, she came to me for a year and she said, I don't know what's changed, but my family is much nicer. That is the kind of way that meditation works. That's how, when you're not getting triggered, the world seems more kind. What you were bitter about or angry about before is not there anymore, and you feel empathy and you understand that people come in conflict in the same way as you. So it's very easy to understand why they do as they do. And suddenly it's not so harsh anymore. That's how meditation changed you. It's not always so clear. And in certain moments, you come to a point, you come to a door of something, and it's just very obvious that you are on the door of that specific fear. Usually it is if it's very profound to your person. Fear of abandonment or something like in alignment with that. And then it can feel very obvious that you're inviting it. But that very, very obvious invitation is not always how it's happened. That's just an example of how sometimes you just sit with things and old stuff come up and you don't react to it anymore. So it starts to weaken. Those triggers start to weaken. And suddenly you have changed your behavior without knowing it, because all you do is just not to react to the content. And usually when the mind is ignorant of it, it will say, but I need this relationship to this content. That's how the ego talks. I need this relationship to this. I have to have this fear, otherwise I cannot navigate the world. But when it goes, you will just be like, oh, seems like I didn't need that. But it's not, when we talk about it, we have to be very direct. So it sounds like everything is so obvious and that it should be presented like on a silver platter, and you say, oh no, I'm not reacting this time, and it goes. But it's not always like that. It can be very obvious, but it can also be very, very subtle. And some things also releases in chunks. You come into long moments of great silence, and it just feels like things are leaving, but you don't see the particulars of it. It just feels spacious. And you realize it through your everyday life, that suddenly your parents don't trigger you anymore. Oh, they can just be in their stuff, okay. And you can just love them and allow them. It's just very spacious. So, not very, it's a complex thing, so it's not I cannot give you a very specific answer for how it will be perceived. But the effort to be with those things have its place, to come back and to come back again to just observing the mind, and to not identify with things. And the more you practice, the more natural the movements will be around it. It will sometimes just show you that you need to do an action. Oh, I need to tell these people how grateful I am for their work. I need to do this and this. It can be something, but there is some kind of challenge, something that is not allowed to be expressed. For many people, they also have a lot of unexpressed love. That it also feels wrong to be very loving in our society. You feel too much, or you feel like people don't understand where you're coming from, and all that.
Thank you.
Very good. When I first read about meditation, I just felt like there were so many different traditions, there were so many different techniques. It just felt like there are 1,000 ways to go about this. Such a big, broad subject. And the more you practice, you notice that the source of it, and if you look at all serious traditions, it's all the same. They use different words, they do different terms around it, they talk about it in different ways, they have more emphasis on one part of it or whatever. But all serious traditions always have the same source. And that is the identification with the person must be known. You have to find out what is the source of the experience. Is it that identified person that you can observe, or is there something beyond that? Which doesn't have to be very complicated. It goes quite quickly to understand beyond that, because everything that deals with the person has to be believed in, and it comes and goes. And every night you go into deep sleep and there is no one, and you're still fine. You don't die in the deep sleep. There's just no one. And we can come in contact with that same awareness in the waking state. And actually, you're always in contact with that. You just believe that you were a person sitting in a meditation class listening to me. And at first it will feel like this beingness is very fleeting. I heard so many people say, oh, it feels like, sometimes I feel like it's there, sometimes it's gone. But that is just the recognition of the flavors of it. Because the awareness itself of this moment cannot go. It's like saying that you can be without the now. That is not possible. That's all there is, actually. But you just believe in yourself as a person. And the more identified you are as that, the more you will suffer it. And I don't say that in some frightening way or try to scare you of the ego or anything like that. It's just very factual. If you're identified with yourself as a person and the situations that you're in, you will feel like a victim of those things. And if you know that and you observe it, you might even notice the moment where you believe that thought and it starts to happen. And it's so automatic because we're just used to our old patterns. But it has to happen. You have to believe in something. You have to identify with it. You have to do the process. You have to go through it for it to happen. If you're just aware of it and you don't buy it, you won't go into it. And I'm not saying that as another thing to believe in. I'm saying that for you to try it. Look in your life. See how it happens. When the thought comes, you will be at some moment, you will be in a very, very alert state and watch, and you will see the mind, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And you see how you don't believe in it. And it's just quiet. And 3 minutes later it comes, maybe I shouldn't have done this because... And you don't buy it. And then some triggers will be more magnetic and feel more deep and move you more. But the more you are connected in this stillness, the easier it will be to observe. Sometimes it will just be an emotional state coming over you. You will just feel fearful or a sense of death or a loneliness or this kind of emotional content can come. But it is the same with them. They can be observed, you can be with them, you can allow them in this stillness. Yes.
You said something like we become depressed when we try too hard. Something like that. Can you talk a little bit around that?
What creates depression?
Yeah.
Mm. Depression is, if we talk about first what depression and anxiety is, because depression is belief in the story of anxiety. It is when it's more rooted, and often depression is fueled by the fear of anxiety. You're so afraid of feeling anxious that it makes you more anxious. So just a feedback loop of the ego. And the anxious state is actually very it is a way to show the body when you suppress something. That is the main. You have an expression of something and it doesn't feel right in the context, so it's pushed down. So many people who are anxious just feel like they are wrong. They shouldn't be here, they shouldn't, and they don't know what to do with that. That is and when that becomes the predominant expression emotionally, it goes into the stories and it creates these feedback loops that what we call depression. But the recognition of anxiety, of that emotion, and like all emotions just want to be felt. And many people have so much resistance to anxiety that they absolutely do not want it to be felt. And that creates space between you and anxiety. And that makes anxiety being able to continue. If it would be allowed to feel its anxiousness in this moment, if it could be held lovingly, it could just be expressed and go. But there can also be a source of that anxiousness. For example, unexpressed love. Or you feel in a certain way that is not right, and then it just becomes pushed down into anxiousness. So usually there is a pattern of just suppressing some expression, going into anxiousness, and then the feedback loop of depression. And also when there is spaciousness and when these things start to surface, all kinds of things start to surface in this spaciousness. In Vedanta we call them vasanas. All the old tendencies start to come to the surface. And this happens when the mind gets quiet and there is a lot of space. Then the old crap can come up. And usually people get afraid of these expressions, but because first they have like 3 months of meditation is going great, and then they become super anxious, for example, if they have the tendency for that, and a lot of things comes up. And usually it's not in the nice way only when you sit on your meditation cushion, it just comes in your life. People come back into life that makes you anxious, or it feels like things like that. So it feels very much, if you believe the world as external, it feels like I'm just having a bad time now. Bad people are pestering me. But it's actually just vasanas coming out and they get expressed. Like also wisdom gets expressed in the external, all these fears and all these things come. And the beauty of it, if Jiddu Krishnamurti called the fear an extraordinary jewel. I think that is beautiful. Jiddu Krishnamurti, he called fear an extraordinary jewel. A precious ruby, something very precious. Because fear always shows how you're stuck. So when you change your mentality from avoidance of fear to instead take an interest in it because you know that you're stuck on the things that you're fearful of, it opens a whole new view of things. Then fear can be your teacher, it can be everything. Did I answer specifically what you... Yes, very good. Thank you. He he Govinda, he he Gopala, he he Govinda, he he Gopala, he Vasudeva, he Nityananda, he Vasudeva, he Nityananda, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He He Govinda, He He Gopala. Always remember, you are beingness itself. This beingness cannot be tainted by anything. It cannot be disturbed or destroyed, hurt. It is always there, unshakable. And as you recognize your own nature, you notice the freedom of it, the qualities of it, the spaciousness, love, natural empathy, how every moment becomes precious, how it creates beauty in everything. I thank you and I bow to your openness and your deep listening and your staying in this moment as it is. Thank you.